All right, we're here. We're back. Guys, welcome back to another edition of the Insurance Panel. It is the end of March. By the time that you're seeing this, we might be into the first week of April. If you're in the South or maybe anywhere, I don't know how it works anywhere else, there's just this yellow, yucky stuff that has got me buying all kinds of nasal decongestant and eye drops. I'm currently sitting outside. I don't know if you can sound me, but I sound a little nasally. It's because it's spring, which is actually a wonderful time in the final expense world, which means you have a little bit longer to door knock. You get a little bit more daylight than ever before. It's prime time to scale your business to the next level and really get this year rocking and rolling. So we were talking a little bit before we started recording. Chris just got back from, I think, Vegas,
Yep.
a company trip, all paid for. I'm assuming. We'll call it all paid trip.
Free training.
Yeah, free training. And so he takes a week off, but he comes back the next week, and it's kind of really cool to see an entry level agent like Chris, with sarcasm there, be able to just turn it up just a little bit. And how much did you do last week, Chris?
I believe 17,208 on 17 applications.
And how much did you forget that you had done when we started this phone call, Chris?
I don't even remember Tuesday and hardly even Monday. And that's the beauty of the mindset with this job.
The Terminator. That's awesome. So just so everybody's aware, Chris did what some people believe to be their best month ever in a week. And he's got it tracked. Chris, just so you know, you're going to have people that are going to ask you for that tracker sheet. Hope you're ready for that. It seems like it's a pretty generic one.
Yeah, it's just a little Excel spreadsheet. Nothing proprietary, but you can have it.
But the thing is you got to actually use it. If you actually use it, you'll be able to scale your business like Chris. And that's kind of what these videos are all about. That's what the insurance panel is all about, is helping the everyday entry level agent or the experienced agent get their business to the next level and get some clarity in the market space for everybody. So as always, Chris is here. We got Nick here. Nick, did you finally fix your tube? Are you online now?
I'm here. Hey,
there he is. Awesome. How was your week?
I had a great week. I hit my goal on Monday. Took the rest of the week off. It was awesome.
So same thing.
I didn't write as much as Chris, but I didn't need to. I don't care.
Yeah, well,
I'm not in competition with Chris.
No. See,
right.
That's the awesome thing about success. You define your success.
Right.
I made as much money as I needed to by Monday at like 5 o'clock. That was good.
Nick doesn't need to be me, and I don't have to be him.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of what our topic is today. If it's not already titled up there, down there for y'all, is let's define success. Let's talk about numbers and let's define success, because it's different for everybody. And by the way, if you haven't already, like us, comment, subscribe, anything to help out with our YouTube algorithm is always wonderful. We really appreciate everybody reaching out to us. I probably get, I don't know if you guys get the same amount, but I probably get about 3, maybe 4 messages a week.
Yeah.
From people that are reaching out either through direct message to me, a text from somebody that I know personally that kind of messages me back and forth, or an email. And our email is going to be right below. It's going to be right here on the screen right now. So theinsurancepanel@gmail.com. If you want to post another question up there, please, we will definitely take the time to read them out. Last week we had Live and Jive, which actually something that's going to be a recurring segment, probably once a month.
Yeah, try to do once.
Yeah, try to do it once a month. I think it was a really cool thing. We were just able to kind of rapid fire shoot through about 6 or 7 questions in about a 30-minute time. So it's a really good video idea, and we want to do more of those. But let's talk about success. You want to talk about numbers? You want to talk about success first?
I think they go hand in hand, sorta.
They do. Yeah.
Kinda.
It's just dependent on the person. Obviously, it's dependent on the person. What you said just now, Nick, was you made the money that you needed to make for your level of success, what you wanted by Monday at 5.
Yeah.
So you were able to take Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off.
Yeah.
For the most part.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, I do other stuff. I do other business related activities, but I wasn't running leads after that point. You know, I went and I delivered some policies, and I helped some people fill out some death claims, and I wrote some Medicare business based on, you know, people who had called me in who were already clients. And I mean, I did other stuff.
Sure.
I can't really just not work the rest of the week, but it was a much more relaxed rest of the week because I wrote as much as I needed to for the whole week by Monday. It doesn't happen every week. Last week it didn't happen. I worked the whole week through. But, you know, I have a very clear benchmark of what I need to do and for the things that I'm trying to accomplish. And I'm not trying to write more life insurance than anybody ever has before. That's not one of my goals. I'm not trying to write $500,000 of business this year. That's not one of my goals. I'm not pushing myself for that. I mean, if it happens, it happens. That's great. But I'm not going to say no. But I'm also not going to kill myself to try and do it. It's just not something that's on my list of things I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to qualify for a couple of trips with a couple of carriers. So I'm trying to make sure I hit a certain percentage of business with each carrier. And you don't always have control over what carrier you end up writing because not everybody fits. So I need to be out enough so that I'm writing about $2,500 a week with the two carriers that I want to write. And then however much extra I need to do. And then that kind of gets me to where I need to be for my weekly income goals anyway. I got a dog to feed. You know, and and that's, I mean, you know, and that's kind of where I am. And I'm actually a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in knowing what you need to do, both activity-wise and income-wise, and whatever other goals you have set for yourself. You know what you're trying to accomplish. Break it down, know what you need to do to accomplish that. Work as hard as you need to get there, and then stop. You know, if you get to where you had accomplished your goals and you are not feeling satisfied, you didn't set the bar for your goal high enough. You need to shoot a little higher next time. But this is a difficult business. This is a very mentally taxing business in a lot of respects. You know, it's not complicated. It's simple, but it's not easy. And if you've hit all your goals and you've made your benchmarks, take a break, man. Relax. You've earned it.
Or reward yourself with a PlayStation 4.
Or reward yourself with a PlayStation 4, or I buy whiskey. Not quite as expensive as PlayStation 4s, but sometimes. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So I totally wanted to spin off of that because how you achieve your goals is first defined on something that's actually physically relevant, like your financial needs. If you just say you want to write $7,500 a week, but it has no logical basis, then when you need to write it, you're not going to write it. But if you know, like when I first laid out my foundation for this business, I did all of my monthly bills. I built in 20 leads a week. I calculated 15% of that stuff's not going to go through. And I came up with $4,200 a week as some magical number that wasn't magical. It was based on what I had to do. So that when I got to Thursday and I wasn't there in the first year, I'm like, well, I have to do this because otherwise one of these important adult items is not going to get handled. And then as I kind of got some stability in the business, I didn't instantly start adding expenses. I didn't buy a fancier car. I didn't triple my mortgage. I just kept everything status quo for probably the next year. But when I needed to get something else, I would say to myself, okay, this car costs $200 a month. That's additional X amount of monthly premium. So now the goal needs to be $47.50 and just kind of quantify it from there. And how you define your success, you need to track it so that I literally have a legal pad that sits next to me and I have my goals written down at the top. And as I write my business, I subtract my business from there. So I saw by the end of Tuesday, I needed an additional $103 a month or whatever. And then I rolled out to the next day. And then unfortunately, by the end of that day, I needed to make a bigger goal. But I had already scheduled myself to work the full week, so I committed to that. You know, you got to treat it like a job and not. The word that bothers me the most is when people call this an opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, am I
Yeah,
coming
that
to
always
do
bugs me
this or
too.
am I doing the job? I don't get it.
Oh, your cat and my dog are getting into a fight
Yeah, it's going to be a thing.
The other one I wrote down, your goals need to be based on actual needs, and whatever your goal is, the minimum monthly premium that you write and issue and pay has to be 10,000. That
now.
is,
Oh, yeah.
it's bare bones. Even if you don't need to make that much, you need to make that much. Otherwise, when things get challenging, you're not going to have the safety net and you'll fail out.
No, if you're not writing $10,000 a month, you need to be. Honestly, I would say every agent who's watching this should set a minimum goal for themselves of $4,000 a week, because I think that's really doable. I think that's really achievable. And for some agents who are watching this, that might feel like they're pushing themselves a little bit.
Good.
But that sets you up. If you shoot strongly for $400,000 a week, you're going to end up writing about $200,000 a year in business. And if you miss that, maybe you write $150,000 a year in business. That's still a lot of money. If you're making a real contract, if you're making, 110%,
Uh-oh.
100%, that's real money. If you write $150,000 a year that sticks on the books, that's no joke right there. That's the reason why you do this job. There's a lot of jobs out there where you can make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. There's a lot of jobs out there where you can kind of work 40 hours a week, never have to put in any overtime, make, $40,000, $50,000 a year, not really have to work that hard. The job's probably kind of boring, but whatever. You're making okay money, whatever, right?
Right.
That's not why you do this job. You do this job so that you have the ability to have a lifestyle that you would not be able to have if you were working in that kind of job. And so you can make some real money. That's,
Yeah, I'll tell a story. Last night, I call her my wife. My fiance and I went to an arcade. Y'all ever heard of Dave and Buster's? Do y'all have that where you're
Sure.
at?
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna be paying like $2 a game, right? And most people, they'll buy the $20 thing, but I was like, screw that. I'm gonna buy the mega value. I'm gonna buy the $100 one and get like these super extra tokens. You can just get as many tokens as you want. But maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I'd be the guy on the other end of the scale who would just barely pay for what he wants. But now I'm not worried about the money. And I said, yeah, get what we want and we can enjoy the life.
Yeah.
Because I worked hard for that. I wasn't stressed about paying an extra $80. I spent $150 to some odd dollars last night at Dave and Buster's, and it didn't even flinch my pocketbook because I worked hard for it, and that's kind of what success is defined for me. And I maybe mine is a little off from everybody else's, but success to me is defined again on your monthly bills. But if your residual income is over and hopefully double of what your monthly bills are, you're a success story in this business.
Yeah.
I don't even calculate my renewals as a part of my daily or weekly goals.
No.
And
No.
And I'll tell you an interesting story because I think it parlays well to what you said. When I moved just recently, a few months ago, before that, I sat in front of a guy from Edward Jones and said, I need to lay out a financial plan. I've been operating like I've been broke for years when I've been making plenty of money, not in the bad sense, but in the conservative sense. And I need to lay out a plan. I need to invest some money. I need to make sure, with all due respect, I don't become a final expense client. And he said, well, what's your budget? I'm like, I don't know. I just make money and I spend less money.
Yep.
But I laid out my budget and I looked at it because he's like, well, most people invest $400, $500, maybe $2,500 a month. I'm like, I don't know if I can afford that. Hold up. But I looked at the numbers and I'm like, I could afford that? Okay, that's a good thing. So having a budget is important so you understand as you grow that you're not overspending your money.
Right.
But I'll read 2 other excerpts from our group me, not our group me, but from my organization because it speaks to what Nick just said. Consistency is what separates the top producers from overnight celebrities. And I parlayed off that and said, a guy at my prior organization used to say, we want planets, not shooting stars. And I literally said what Nick just said in that same comment. New people, a clean $4,200 a week producer is a $200,000 a year producer, and 200,000 is the upper strata of this industry.
Yep.
So when you see numbers out there, oh, I submitted 50,000 this month, I guess you did, but really, if you make 200,000 in business, very few people make that mark.
Yeah.
Don't shy away from 4,200.
No, that's
Yeah.
I hear so many people, especially on like Facebook and all over the place, talking about how they need to get to a place where they're consistently writing $10,000 a week. Like, I mean, okay, great. I mean, you've got a goal. I mean, do you know how to do it?
Mhm.
I could tell you, like, I could do it. I don't want to. Man, I don't want to work that hard. That's a lot of work. I don't
Right.
need to work that hard. I don't need to write $10,000 a week. I make more money than most people that I know. And I write like $5,500 to $6,000 a week on average. Like, I mean, crazy.
You know what's interesting is that I can't imagine writing 500,000 and having time to do anything but write business.
No.
Right.
And part of the business is the long-term plan, and it's not just continuing to produce like you're a checkout. That you need to go deliver some policies. You need to write some Medicare business. You need to get some referrals. You need to send out some thank you cards. You need to build the book that you're creating and not just continue to be transactionally writing business.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things I learned probably from listening to Nick talk is it's okay to schedule a day that's not a production day, because once you've reached consistent success, you shouldn't need 5 days to reach your goal.
Right.
No, I mean, I can tell you with certainty, there is not a person watching this video who writes business and who feels comfortable with writing business and like they know what they're doing. There's not a person out there who could not today just decide I'm only going to work 3 days a week in the field and write $4,000 a week every single week and be a $200,000 a year producer. Everybody watching this video can do it. Everybody.
So why
It's just a mindset.
Why couldn't they do it though? What would defeat them from being able to do that properly?
So if you only want to run 2 or 3 appointments a day, unless you're like somebody who also plans on knocking 20 doors on top of that, or that would be difficult. It would be really hard to do that if you're running like 6 appointments, 8 appointments in a week. You need to be able to. So activity is everything, right? Like, I have financial goals. My financial goals are what tell me when to stop working. My financial goals are what tell me, hey, you've done all you need to do. You've made the money you need to make. You can take a break now. And maybe for me, that's more necessary than it is for everybody. But I was raised by a workaholic. I have a workahol problem. I tend to just keep working all the time unless somebody tells me, hey, you can stop.
Yep.
So my goals tell me when to stop, my AP goals. My activity goals tell me to keep going. I have really solid activity goals, consistent, like time-tested, been using them for half a decade now, and they've worked all the time. For me, must give 12 presentations a week, every single week, no ifs, ands, or buts. If I don't give 12 presentations a week, then I'm not doing what I need to do. So when you break everything down, it's got to come down to activity and what your activity is, and there's got to be some logic behind it. I know if I give 12 presentations, I'm going to sell 7 or 8 policies. And if I sell 7 or 8 policies, I'm going to hit my goals.
How many leads do you need to write that?
How many leads do I need?
How many leads do you acquire weekly to make sure you maintain?
I get 25 leads a week. I probably could do it on 20. I might be able to do it on 15. I don't know. There's a certain level of I buy more leads to make me have to work less hard, because fundamentally, going back to what I just said about how I work constantly and I never stop working, I'm also extremely lazy and I don't want to work harder than I have to. And more leads means I don't have to work so hard. I don't have to work leads so hard.
Oh my gosh, big point, big point. What's the point of oversaturation? We had this conversation in our 3-peak group as I looked at these leads leading into this week, and I said, if my closing percent is what it is, Nick, couldn't I just supersize myself and write $15,000 every week? And
No.
you said, what is this point of oversaturation?
So there's time, right? Your time is finite. And I've said it before on these videos. Every week, Monday starts and the clock starts ticking. And your time is finite. You only have so much time. I know I couldn't work 35 leads a week efficiently. If I was getting 35 leads a week, I'd be not working 5 to 10 of them. Like, really? Like, 5 to 10 of them would just be going to waste. I just would run out of time. I have other things that I have to do. I have a book of business that I need to service. I have, policies that I've got to deliver. I've got other stuff going on that's an important part to me of my business. I couldn't do 35 leads a week.
You got to make YouTube videos. You got
I
stuff
wouldn't be able
to
to
do.
make YouTube videos. If I hired an appointment setter, I might be able to do 35 leads a week. And if that appointment setter was as good at setting appointments as I am, I would be able to run as many appointments as I would want to. But on 35 leads a week, you should be running 27 to 28 appointments a week.
So if you're getting 35 leads a week, what should you be submitting a week?
I don't know. I would need to do some math.
I would say conservatively 10,000, right?
Yeah, probably. If you're getting, maybe not 10, but like 8. Like
8 to 12?
8, yeah, 8-ish. If you're running okay. If you're getting 35 leads a week, you should be probably setting a minimum of 25 appointments, probably closer to 28, but the math's easier with 25. So you run 25 preset appointments a week. Of those 25, let's say 3 of them don't hold if they're that appropriate.
Wait a second. Hang on. Stop. Let me stop you there. You're saying that if you set 25 appointments, only 3 are going to no-show you?
Off of 35 leads? Okay, maybe 5.
I've seen places where
call it
people are
5.
setting 70 appointments and they're only sitting down with 15 of them.
Well, I don't know what they're doing. They're doing something wrong.
Our numbers now.
Okay, go on.
So so let's say 20 of them hold. And then of the 20, your closing percentage of the 20 people that you sit down with should be between
50 to 75%.
and 75%. So let's say you're right in the middle there and you're closing like 12
13
apps. So you're writing let's say it's 12 apps a week. Industry average says that's $50 an app. For me, it's $68 an app. Well, you do math at you here for a second. 68 times 12. So that's $816 a month. So
times 12.
90. So like $9,000 a week if you're getting 35 leads a week and you're working them appropriately.
I just think that we all agree that there's probably a point of oversaturation. And if you're buying your leads and you're on a reasonable contract, then at some point you need to balance the marathon versus the race. When I used to work in the city as a paramedic 5, 6, 7 years ago, there weren't nearly as many ambulances as there are now. And you could literally run as many 911 calls as you wanted to. And you could literally run in a 12-hour shift 25 calls. And that's almost humanly impossible. But if you hit available on your computer, you would get another call. And when I was brand new, charged up on coffee and motivation at 22, I'm like, let's see how many we can do. This is freaking awesome. Drive really fast with the lights on and see how many people I can pick up. And my partner was very casual about it. She was like, all right, you'll learn. Go ahead. I'll drive and you're treating. Go ahead. And then at one point I realized that it's not a marathon. It's not a race. It's a marathon. And I didn't make a 20-year career out of it because I treated it like a race.
You burned out.
those folks retire with decent pensions, with stable incomes, and live, middle American lifestyle somewhere in and around the city. But luckily, I found my way to final expense and realized that you can run the race to your goal and then realize it's a marathon thereon after.
That was well profound.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to lose my point when I was defining success, because success is different for everybody. And here's my success. My bills personally come up to $800 a month.
Well, I want to be
right.
you.
Okay.
Wow.
But here's what I was taught early on this business, and in a place that I was at before, my contract wasn't good, but I did get this piece of knowledge, and it was big. It was, Matt, lower your bills, okay? Don't live cheap, but live within your means, and get your residual income as high as possible. And when your residual income is over your bills, you're financially free. You're not worried about making a sale because now your bills are paid before you get up and go to work, right? And so whenever my residual income got to be over that amount, I stopped having that, oh man, I got to make a sale, and I don't have that commission breath anymore. And now I'm a little bit more relaxed when I'm out in the field. And if somebody no-shows me or somebody stands me up, or I work with a client for an hour and they just don't buy, I'm not worried about it because Matt's going to be okay. My residual income is good, right? But then I started thinking, well, if you have chargebacks and stuff like that, it kind of takes out. So you really want it to be double or triple your residual income wants to be about triple over your monthly bills. So if you do have some chargebacks at the end of the month, you're not worried about it, right? So I track my residual income very aggressively, probably more than I should. But that's how I define success in this business. That's when you become successful. You don't become successful when you write your first $100,000, right? Because that could be the first year, but you might be doing just like Chris said, and that might be a straight race for you and not a marathon. But you have to be able to sustain that long term. And when you do that year and year again, your residual income is going up if you are vested day one, and if you have a decent contract with decent renewals. You'll see that year 2 and 3 and 4 and thereon get much easier because your residual income goes up each and every year.
See, here's another thing about numbers, because we wanted to talk a lot about numbers. But before I get to myself, I wanted to make a point about success and defining success. I was at an organization prior that success in a lot of ways was materialistic, and everyone, not everybody, but if you didn't have the fancy car at some point, there was probably something wrong.
Yep.
And I didn't buy the fancy car because everyone was doing it. It was because I have too many kids for one row of seats.
Yep.
But I had a guy reach out to me once that knew that I had the fancy car. I bought it used. I paid the same price as I did for my Dodge Avenger. I didn't buy it brand new, but it was a nice car. And he says, I'm thinking about getting the nice car. And I told him, you don't have to do it because they're doing it. He's like, no, I want to buy it for myself. I'm like, ask yourself, am I buying the fancy car because they're doing it or because you need it? Because that's important as well. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. I've met some final expense clients that lived in the hood, lived a very meager lifestyle, but I look at their bank statement to get their bank information. They've got freaking 80 grand in the bank.
Yep.
And the man never made more than $12 an hour.
Yep.
His whole life.
Yep.
I met a guy yesterday, a very average intelligence, very nice guy, was not the world's sharpest crayon. But when he settled his disability case with the VA and got a retro pay, he paid for a house by cash. Very wise investment for someone that was probably making $1,200 a month. Be wise with your money. Just because you made 17 grand this week, I didn't spend 17 grand at the Target that afternoon. I talked to one of my friends and she's like, you're actually buying the PlayStation? You've been joking about that for 3 years. So, and then the numbers too. Numbers don't say everything. When we were talking about numbers on the internet this weekend for this group, I texted somebody and I'm like, one number doesn't mean everything. Why don't they get that? And she responded back to me, the number 29. And I'm like, what does that mean? She's like, You don't know if you don't know the context of it. So the context of the number matters too. If you wrote $100,000 of business and you spent $60,000 on leads and you lost 20% of your business, how much did you really make? Probably nothing. So numbers matter, and don't just look at a number you see on the internet in the micro, because they're just giving it to you in the micro. It's like the argument, every big contract doesn't come with support. What? What the crap does that mean? Every small contract comes with a world of support. No, it doesn't.
No.
Don't just assume the one sentence is the truth. There's more to both sides of the story.
Well, and don't necessarily listen to the people that talk to you on the internet, including us. Like, I mean, we're awesome. I can tell you, I know we're telling the truth, but don't trust us. You know, like, figure some stuff out. Talk to other people. Check us out and see if we're full of shit.
Do some research.
Yeah, like, random people on the internet are not who you should be asking for help. But
Go ahead.
Going back to what you were saying about, like, you know, the success piece. I remember when I was started as a captive agent, and they sent me to training school in Chicago for 2 weeks. The very, 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 very first thing that they made us do, and it sounded so stupid to me at the time, and I thought it was nonsense. A lot of stuff that they did sounded stupid to me at the time, and I thought it was nonsense, and I've come to appreciate it later. Poorly implemented, but the idea was right. Was they had us on a giant piece of paper that they plastered on the board. Everybody in the classroom had to write down why they were doing this job.
Right.
And if you wrote down, I am doing this job to make money, you had to go back and do it again, because making money was not a goal. Making money is a means to an end. You know, and so some people put down there, ended up going and putting on their board, I'm doing this job because I want to be able to take my family to Disney World every year. Some people end up putting all sorts of things. I want to be able to buy a house. I've never been able to own my own house. I want to be able to, you know, you have to have something that actually motivates you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wanted my wife to not have to work. We're a single income household. You know, she had a job she hated, and she doesn't have to work there anymore. If she wants to go back to work, she can, but she doesn't have to. It's entirely up to her. We get by just fine on my income. I wanted my daughter to be able to take whatever extracurricular classes that she would ever want to take. She wants to take guitar, she wants to ride a horse, she wants to do whatever, we can afford to do that.
I have horses next door.
That's kind of cool. I don't. I have foxes in my backyard, and a whole herd of deer came through, but that's another story. But like, you know, I wanted to own a house. I'd rented my whole life. I wanted to own a house. You know, these are real tangible things that, like, I set up, and that's my success, is being able to achieve these benchmarks. These are the things that I work for. I like to travel. I'm going on 4 vacations this year, which is probably too many, but I'm greedy. You know, and I'm going to Hawaii in 2 weeks, and I'm going to be going to Europe with Family Benefit in like 6 weeks after that, and I'm going to be taking a week-long trip to the Caribbean in October, early November. These are the things that were important to me, and so those are the things that are the benchmarks of my success. You've got to have something concrete that you're working towards. You've got to have a reason. Honestly, it's part of the reason why I think some of the really young guys fail out so easily, is because they're just like, I just want to make as much money as possible. And they don't have a reason for why they want to make that much money. And they don't need to, because their bills are like Matt's, and they only need like $800 a month.
Well, dude, let me just stop you, because you're 100% right. Until I found my fiance, I really didn't have a why.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was just doing it because I was good at it. I loved the business. I love senior citizens. I love collecting money. I used to be a finance manager. I was just good at it, but I really didn't have a why. And I remember telling my old upline, I was like, hey man, all these other people got a why, and I don't really know why I'm doing this. I'm just here and I'm kind of sitting in this management position, but why am I doing this? And he's like, dude, you better figure that shit out quick. You got to find a why. And it was not until I found her, why I'm supposed to be doing this. And it's definitely over the last year, my income has gone significantly up, and it's because I have a why. So I'm sorry to cut you off, but I had to plug my wife.
That's so true, though. I would rather hire a person that has a financial reason to go to work each day, somebody who has that, than someone who doesn't, because it's scary. You take your $800 on Monday and you're done the rest of the week, and then something charges back, and the next week you're broke. Like, your why should be,
right.
If you have one, you can make an unlimited source of money at this job and never become the people you're selling insurance to. With all due respect to them, that should be, I go there every week and I'm like, these are nice people, but please God, don't let me ever be this person.
Yeah.
And when I worked as a paramedic, I heard a guy say something powerful. He's like, I work 90 hours a week, so I don't have to tell my daughter no.
Right.
Well, we don't have to freaking work 90 hours a week to tell them no, but we have to work consistently each week so that when something goes wrong, we're not instantly out of the business.
You know how you're a success in this business is whenever you're with a client so long and you just know when to wrap it up. Just like now. It's just time to wrap this video up. Feels like we're rambling. I don't know about you guys, but I'm about ready to wrap this up. And I think that's what's going to make us a successful YouTube channel. My little brother keeps calling me in the middle of this video. He doesn't realize that if I keep auto declining it, it's to not call back, and I will call you as soon as I'm done. Anyways, so we're going to wrap this one up. I think these are, as much rambling as it might have been. And sometimes that's what I enjoy about this kind of stuff is the rambling. We get off on these tangents, but it's good content, whether you like it or not. But defining success, talking about numbers, I think it was a great video, guys. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if there's one person disliking every one of our videos. As soon as it goes up, you're still subscribed. That means that you took the time to subscribe and hit the bell notification to be the first dislike. And we appreciate you very much, sir, or madam. So anyways,
protect the integrity of the video.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Chris, give us our outro that you're so known for.
All right,
what you got.
Our disclaimer is this is just three guys from three separate organizations giving their points on the topic of today in final expense. It's not a reflection of any carrier that we write business for, any marketing organization or company we are contracted under, or have ever been contracted with, or ever will be with. Just three guys on a Saturday afternoon sharing their thoughts. Like, comment, and subscribe, please.
That's it, gentlemen.
Bye.